Back in 1992, on being appointed President of the Board of Trade, Lord Heseltine promised to intervene before breakfast, lunch and tea to promote British business. 20 years on, he's still doing just that. Lord Heseltine, you say that the renaissance of England's provincial cities is one of the most urgent tasks facing the government. What steps need to be taken to achieve that?
Well, the first thing that has to happen is the election of directly elected chief executives, mayors, to give the British cities the same sort of status that all our competing nations enjoy in their provincial cities. You see, to me it is utterly indefensible that we now have a situation where Boris Johnson hammers the table for London. Alex Salmond is on the television every day banging on about Scotland. I don't complain about that, that's his job. But there is no equivalent talking about Manchester, Liverpool, Birmingham, Newcastle and the other great cities. Those cities are economic powerhouses, and in trying to get this country moving, it is, in my view, essential that we give a much greater opportunity, more power, more discretion to the provincial cities that made this country what it was.
Do you think the government will back you in your call for provincial mayors?
Well, they have done. They have, I think 2 days ago, they completed the legislative process which will lead to referenda in the 12 largest cities. Well, no, 11, because one has opted to go that way without the need of a referendum. And then if the referendum is successful, the mayors will come within the next 12 months or so.
Which is good news. You've campaigned for this for a long time.
I have. And I learnt perhaps more in Manchester than anywhere else of the power of this collective concept, and it's the human state. The problem that Britain has got is that it's run too much by monopoly from Whitehall. There are transport people, housing people, environment people, agricultural people. What there's not is anyone saying, what about Manchester? And when we did City Challenge here, we transformed an area of Manchester by, frankly, by knocking down one of the great slums of Europe, the deck access human estate, and recreating a community. And I realized if we could do that in that model, we could do it for the whole city.
Now, this new business hub that you're here in Manchester to open today, what practical assistance will they be offering companies of Greater Manchester and the North West?
I think that they will offer what you call an a la carte menu. People can go to them and they'll get answers to a myriad of different questions. Now, every company will have a different question, from the very small people who might say, well, what form have I got to fill in, to the larger ones who might say, well, is there any grant available to deal with this particular piece of IT innovation? It's a one-stop shop offering a very wide range of services and much to be welcomed.
And the pool of expertise that's come into this hub is from this area itself, isn't it?
It is locally designed, locally run and locally conceived, and that's exactly what it should be, because it's dealing with Manchester's problems. It's not dealing with Liverpool's problems or Birmingham's problems. It's the way it's seen here, and that's what's so important.
Your regional growth fund budget of 1.4 billion, can you tell us a little bit more about how this will be spent?
Well, it's now been committed. We have announced the winners, and basically it was competitive. We said to people, we've got the money, you tell us what you do with it, and then we chose the best bids. And the first thing to know about it is that although we had 1.4 billion of our money, taxpayers' money, by the time we committed to the schemes, we committed to about 6 billion, because we got a lot of people saying, well, you give us so much, we'll add to it. So there's a huge amount of money now about to be spent in the more outlying regions of England, where the public expenditure cuts are likely to be the heaviest.
You can take credit for a string of highly visible and highly successful projects. And we've got the O2 Arena, the Jubilee Line, Docklands, Thames Gateway. And we're wondering if there's one modernising project that remains undone that you would dearly love to get your hands on.
Oh yes, the Atlantic Bridge. Yes. And I think I would like to revisit the East End of London, where I was deeply involved in all of that many years ago, but I have a feeling that there's another push needed.
And you're the man to do it.
Oh, I didn't say that.
With the establishment of your publishing company, Haymarket, in 1957, it makes you one of the very few politicians to achieve business success firsthand. Have you got 3 tips for aspiring entrepreneurs today?
I don't think there's any generalization. I've met so many people who've had a commercial career and made a success of it, and they don't have much in common, you know. But there are certain things I would say. There's no substitute for hard work. It is a grind. You have to keep at it. Secondly, you have to spot the luck, because in my own view, virtually everybody has some sort of lucky chances, but not all that number of people spot them. So spotting the luck when the opportunity is there and grabbing it, I think is very important. And I've always been very lucky in being involved in things I like doing. People say to me, what should I do in life? And I say, find something that interests you. Try to find a job that you look forward to Monday morning.
If there was one alert that you could give corporate Britain about the European economic crisis and its impact on British corporate growth, what would it be?
Don't overspend. That's what we've all done. And it's not about Europe. We've done it in this country, you've seen it in America, you've seen it in Europe. The whole people, individually, companies, governments, went mad. And there's always a corrective process, and it means reducing expenditure in order to get the thing back in balance.
Is this what you've seen in Germany when you talked about a few years ago? You were quoted as saying that Germany were very effective economic managers.
Well, you see, the interesting thing is Germany has been much more careful for all sorts of historic reasons in the amount of money that they have borrowed and run up in debt. But no, that was not what I was talking about. What is so impressive about the German management of their economy is that they take long-term views. They have businesses which are there very significantly family-owned or with a German national perception of self-interest. And that's very different to what we have with our publicly quoted companies, where frankly, practically all of them are for sale. You know, if the right guy comes along with the right offer, the owners, the institutional owners, sell. And that's a very questionable discipline, because it means that we're constantly driving profits in the short to keep the short-term profits up without enough regard to the long-term investments.
Lord Heseltine, Head of the Government's Regional Growth Fund, thank you very much for talking with us.
Thank you.